Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Strokes, staying clean. And I'm so happy to be a part of your recovery. I'm so happy to be here sharing my recovery with you. And today we're going to talk about the power of change. You know, in my active addiction, it took me 40 years to change my behavior because even though things was always bleak the last 15 years of my addiction, I would always make the first 20 like it was right out of Star Wars or the best life a person can ever have in my active addiction when I thought it wasn't a problem and it wasn't creating me a problem in my life. But the last 15 years, I lost everything. And due to the fact of my mentality of keep doing the same thing, expecting different results in my actions. Yes, different results in my actions. And but I didn't want to change because I didn't know where it was going to lead me. And then I started realizing in my recovery that change is hard. It truly is. Because if you're used to being one way and living your life one way, but to do a 380 and change I didn't say a 360, but I said a 380, meaning that extra 20%, you're not looking back, you're constantly going forward. And for you to complete and do that and make your life better, you have no idea of what you're about to embark on. So I know for me, it was a very challenging time in my life, in my recovery, in the beginning of my recovery. But they taught me one thing. They said, Robert, just keep doing the next right thing. If you do nothing else, if you don't get nothing else, just do the next right things and watch things get better. Not in your time, but at the right time. And so I did that because I knew nothing else, what else to try under them circumstances that I was in. But I knew that my way wasn't working because I've been doing this for 40 years. So I'm willing to give up power and control and find a new way of living. So when I chose recovery, I believe I stopped driving the car because my way wasn't working. My way was not working in no type of fashion. I kept doing the same thing, expecting different results. And when I received recovery, when I understand what addiction has done to my life, when I understand that I have a disease, when I understand what cocaine did to me, I understand what trauma did to me, I understand what I've done to myself and others, I knew that I had to do a lot of work on myself to make myself better. Because recovery didn't taught me to point the finger at nobody else but Robert. And it gave me a formula to learn how to overcome who Robert was, why he did the things that he did, under the conditions that he did it, and at the age and his mentality he was at that particular time. And now he's looking at his situation in honest and real life situation. He's not sugarcoating it. He's looking at himself for exactly who he was at that particular time. And when I looked back at myself in that manner, I truly, truly didn't like what I saw, because I saw who I truly was. And now I'm totally admitting that my way did not work, that this is the exact damage that Robert did to himself and others. So, right then and there, I had no problem of not driving the car anymore and trying something new, which I chose was recovery. The power of change. Now, just because I found that type of information out, it still was difficult for me to try something new, to give up a whole way of life that I was living to a new way of life that I knew nothing about, knew nothing where recovery is going to lead me, knew nothing about how my life is going to be. I knew nothing. But all I knew was my way was not working, because I've been trying it for 40 years, doing the same thing, expecting different results. And on top of that, I'm blaming my trauma on others. Yes, they did me wrong. Yes, they did something really bad. But the point is, I allowed it to live rent-free in my head. In my head. And I didn't do nothing about it so I can heal and grow from the situation and put it in a proper perspective. But no, I medicated myself so I would not be able to feel the pain until the medication became my prison. Change. So the point for today is that change may be difficult, but if you look at the benefits of the change that you're making, and if you look at the situation honestly and openly, then also, are you willing to try something new that you know nothing about? Or you rather stay in the funk, know the pain that you get by keep doing the same thing and expecting different results? That you can figure a better way to accomplish what you want the way you want. If I would have done that, then I would have stayed in my active addiction. I would never knew that I would have had cancer. I would have never met my wife. I would never have the life that I have. I never would have made over 800 videos about recovery. I would not be sharing my strength and hopes with you. I'd probably be dead or in jail for the rest of my life. That's the only two places I would be. So, change, here's the thing. When I realized in recovery that I duped and conned myself to continue the behavior that I was doing, expecting different results, when I believed that I conned and duped myself to keep doing the same stuff that was destroying me, myself, and God, I felt like a fool. So it was hardly any type of, well, I'm gonna. Because I realized I'm the one that did the damage to Robert for 40 years. Yes, damage was done to Robert, but Robert did not face the issue. Robert wasn't there to move forward and learn from the mistake or the trauma that happened to him. He didn't do nothing but medicate himself. He ran from the situation. And that's my truth. And I understand that. And I understand that mentally I could not handle it. That's why I did it in the manner that I did it. So if I can understand why I've done the things that I've done, good, bad, and ugly, can't you do the same for yourself? Look at yourself honestly and openly and really pay close attention to what you've done. And when you look at yourself honestly and openly, trust and believe me, you're going to look at sides of yourself that you're not going to like. And you're going to say, well, I'm not going to do this no more because this is what I really did. And that was jacked up. I don't want to be that person anymore. Then the next question I ask myself is, why did you do that in the first place? And then I started doing research on myself, on my actions, and situations that happened in my life. And I got to understand how and why I did the things that I did, which gave me an understanding and a wisdom that I will not go down that path anymore. Because I truly saw who I was. And for 40 years, I never saw that until I got recovery. This is Robert Goodman for Positive Stroke, staying clean, wishing you a great and wonderful day. And remember, you are the most important person to yourself, not me, not your wife, not your husband, not your kids, not your daddy, not your mommy, not the system, not the government, but you. You are the most important person to yourself. Only you can make your life better if you keep the focus on yourself. And remember, drugs made me a dope, but now I got hope because I'm not a dope anymore because I am what? Clean and sober. You have a great and wonderful day.